Welcome to the caravan settings video for the 1.2 live branches. Caravans are a great way to make profit and gain skills for companions and family members. In today's video, we will go over all the things that can help profit and point you in the right direction to make money that will lead you to better caravans overall. We will cover profit as it gets better later in the game, how major skills can affect your overall profits by specializing in them, overall survivability as the game advances, and finally, what I think is the right setup to have the best caravan leader. You can throw anyone in a caravan, but having skills in the right place can make a big difference by running big profit. I run 200 caravans for testing as profits vary greatly. So I try to lower RNG as much as I can by running as many caravans to hopefully give you decent information. Some things didn't matter much of a change for caravans, which I won't show the data for to keep the video shorter. Things such as upgraded troops, location of the town start, spreading them out, being Asrai, and prosperity of the starting town. None of them proved to have a big difference in profits from my testing. First, we will start with profit made as the game advances. I ran 200 caravans, starting them out and sending them for 21 days to get established. Then I ran them all for 1 year and divided out the profits to get the average profit per caravan per day. Each leader has 0 in all skills and were capped so that they would never gain any. As most know, the prices are really expensive day 1 and start to drop as goods come in. On day 100, they made 201 as the height of stabilizing the economy is hit, and it was the worst time to run caravans. On day 200, they made 288 per day. The economy is starting to stabilize in place now, and profits begin to rise. On day 300, they made 327 per day, as now the economy has completely stabilized. On day 500, they made 366 per day, with the economy now running good and inflation about to start. On day 750, they made 468 per day as inflation is starting, as inflation is about 50% per 10 to 15 years or 8 to 1200 days, according to the Tail World developers. On day 1000, they made 563 per day as we now have full inflation going. As you can see, once the economy has settled and inflation starts, the profit per caravan just goes up from there and can get much higher as you progress through the game. And it's not uncommon to see 500 to 1,000 per day between days 1,000 and 2,000. Next, we will look at all skills for caravans. Not covered but worth mentioning are skills like tactics, which help greatly for fighting as your caravans are doing simulated battles, and medicine, which not only helps with surviving troops in battle, but also regaining troops after battle, as all parties, which include caravans, will wait in town if they had wounded troops until the game feels they are ready to head back out. So don't ignore those two skills. We will take the day 300 profit of 327 as our benchmark, since it is when the economy has settled but no inflation has hit. I gave all leaders 100 riding. The first 2 perks don't really matter. We take filled to brim at 75 and sweeping wind at 100. Don't take nomadic traditions at 75, as many people rave about the increased speed, as it offers virtually no speed change, and I have tested it taking a caravan and watching the speed change after taking the perk and seeing no change in their speed. With 100 riding, they gained 367 per day, or 10% more. I then gave all leaders 100 scouting only taking Day Traveler at 25, Pathfinder at 50, Desert Born at 75, Foreskin needs 75% infantry, and caravans have a lot of cavalry, and taking Unburdened at 100, so if they ever have too many goods, it won't slow them down to get caught. With 100 scouting, they only gain 330 per day or 1% increase, as scouting is more of a survivability choice than profit. I then gave all leaders 100 trade, taking Wholesaler at 25 for trade goods, Caravan Master at 50 so they can carry more and not get overburdened, Local Connections at 75 for decreased price for all animals, and then the 100 perk not really coming into play, and they made 374 per day or 14% more. I then gave them 200 trade, taking Artisan Community for recruiting at 125, Content Trades at 150, so when they are in town, they have 50% less wages, Insurance Plans at 175 for decreased trade penalty for buying trade goods, and Granary Account at 200 for decreased trade penalty for selling food trade goods, and they made 393 per day or 20% more. It may sound like a lot, but it's not great when you figure it takes at least 3, possibly 4 points in trade to get there when they could go to other skills, maybe to help them survive better. Now we will test survivability as the game progresses. I sent out 200 caravans for 2 years to see how many would survive, as Tailworld says the average 8 caravans should last before being captured is 2 years. 92% of the caravans survived that 2 years. At day 200, 91% survived. At day 500, 89% survived. And at day 1000, 77% survived, which is not bad, and more than the 50% Tailworld says they should be at. The last thing to mention about survivability is being in a kingdom. Many run them as a merc or a vassal and wonder why they lose them often. Even when not at war with the kingdom, you could still be at war with minor clans, which are the bane of the existence for caravans. So in one last test, I joined a kingdom who was at war, and only 4% survived the 2 years. This is what being at war does. You would think they would be able to avoid any kingdoms or any parties and be faster than them, but that simply is not the case, and I would never recommend running caravans while in a kingdom. Finally, let's build a perfect caravan, but make it realistic, as you don't get a lot of skill points to distribute. I would want to have 100 riding if possible for the 75 and 100 perks, filled to the brim, and sweeping wind. 50 scouting is enough for Day Traveler and Pathfinder, as increased scouting didn't seem to make it so that they could see further away and avoid enemies. For trade, even though the 175 and 200 perks seem amazing, they didn't offer big profit increases in testing and takes forever to level. I would be happy with just 75 to get the perks Wholesaler, Caravan Master, and Local Connections until Tailworld changes it, so the reduced trade penalty from trade really comes into play. For other skills, I wouldn't mind having a little medicine to help saving troops and battle and recovering, so anywhere between 25 to 50 seems reasonable. The final skill is tactics, which I think by far is the most important skill of all. I covered in a recent video on my guides channel how tactics affected simulated battles. Incorporating as much tactics as possible is preferred, but of course, it is insanely hard to level, so take that into account when thinking about increasing tactics. One last note on caravans, they return to their starting location quite frequently. So if you plan where to start them, it can make a big difference, especially when it comes to workshops, as they can take the output produced at your town, and just be careful as they could also take the input. So experiment to find out how starting caravans in a town where you have a workshop could help both the caravan and the workshop make better profit. I hope this helps you out with your caravans. I will see you in Live Branch 1.3 for the next video. As always, my friends, take care and thanks for watching.